Hey friends, Adriano Tori here with Rexpon Real Estate. I'm with one of our top producers here in the organization, Jared Pennington.
Hello, everyone.
So today we're actually shooting episode number 3 of Do You Know What You're Worth series on your Elevate Your Real Estate channel. And the conversation today is about working with sellers, right? And some of you out there may be facing a little bit of challenges when it comes to securing listings, especially when you are competing with other agents in the community, right? Sometimes we might be a little bit tangled with the things that we need to say or the approach that we have to implement to build extreme confidence in those sellers and in our ability to deliver to get the job done. And so, Jared, so one of the things, the concerns that might be out there, for quite a bit of the agents is that how can I build myself like so confident when I'm starting to, get this in this relationship building mode with the seller who has approached me and is trying to get more information on my ability to deliver what they wish to accomplish with their home sale?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great question. Ultimately, where my confidence came into play originally breaking into the listing market, and I feel like what's portrayed to the client as well, is it's going to come down to if you truly have the best interest of the client in mind. Now, what does that mean? Well, we all know the fancy saying of commission breath, right? And what commission breath really is it's saying that you care more about the paycheck than you are going to care about the client's needs and the client's long-term well-being. And so for myself, Adriano, I really had to detach from the outcome of receiving a paycheck, but rather really dive into the nuances and the needs of the client. And ultimately, once I was able to learn those and discover those perhaps deeper emotional needs and wants, that's when I was able to be perceived as more confident, and the client was able to perceive me that way as well.
Awesome, great. So basically the first plan of attack in this strategy is to really understand what's at the core, right? What's important to those home sellers who are out there considering working with you in terms of their financials and also their emotional needs. Now, you actually mentioned something that is very key, for us in the field to understand, and that is that our goal, our objective is to be detached of the outcome and rather be attached to a process, right? And these now, guys, actually give way to what a true professional does. And the true professional in the client's eyes is, how can we be perceived as a doctor, right? A doctor in the field, somebody who has the solution, right? Lay out on a very specific chart, labeling all these steps necessary for that client to be able to achieve the goal of selling and ultimately, that ending into whatever transition into a new property or likely, going into a temporary rental, based on their current needs at that time. So with that, Jared, there is a lot of conversation out there, of what it takes to really work with a professional agent. And some sellers out there might be a little bit confused as far as what does working with a discount agent, it's all about versus working with a professional agent who will deliver the results that they will potentially want to accomplish. So how can we as agents be able to convey and articulate that message, the differentiation between the two?
That's a great question. Yeah, I spent a lot of time, and with the help of yourselves and other people around the brokerage, right, I've been able to learn a little bit more and dive more deep into this topic. And what I've discovered is that ultimately there's always going to be agents out there that are going to discount their commissions, and rather highlighting what those agents are and aren't doing versus what your product is and isn't doing. Rather, what I like to do is just make sure that the client knows all the information needed to make the best decision for them and their family. So what does that look like for myself? That looks like detaching from the outcome, like you said. Ideally, I want what's best for the client, whether that's me, which is most of the time I feel like it is me, or it's a different person, right? But rather, I'm going to take the doctor approach and the prescription approach, find out what the client's needs are, and see if a discounted agent is going to be able to deliver those results. And what I'm finding the majority of the time in a market as crazy as this is that what is supplied by a discount agent versus what is needed by the seller are not correlated. And it's up to me and my expertise in the field to be able to inform the seller of this and allow them to make whatever decision they feel is best.
Awesome, I love that. And guys, to bring this into perspective, basically here, the principle is the principle of being perceived as a person of authority, right? Once we get that down, then everything else falls into alignment as far as what these steps are to be, what are those steps that need to be implemented as we are supporting that seller to get clarity on those decisions that they are gonna be making on hiring, in this case, Jared as their listing agent. Okay, Jared, so the people that are joining us, or friends that are joining us here and actually learning a little bit more about us, they like to see a little role play, right? Because we always say that the training, guys, doesn't happen here. The training happens when we take the action, right? And so let's go ahead and do a little role play as far as how we integrate certain areas of our strategy and also our tactics in terms of supporting those clients getting clarity to ultimately what they want. So we use certain techniques in the organization. We call them the level shift. We also progress through extracting as much of that motivation, those core things which are important to the client, and then relating those and connecting those to ultimately what they want. Okay, so one of the most common objections that we're gonna get out there when, let's say we go into a listing appointment, is that of, hey, you know, Jared, I appreciate everything that you've shared with me today. It's very informational. Though I wanted to share with you that I'm interviewing another agent who is going to charge me less money and is going to, and he actually sells a lot of properties in the community as well.
Yeah, Adriano, that's amazing. And ultimately, you know, I'm really glad that you're interviewing other agents because I want you to have all the information needed so that you feel comfortable in whoever you choose to make the best possible outcome for you and your family. Adriano, I'm curious, what are some of the main reasons why you're deciding to sell your home?
Yeah, you know, we're actually selling because we got this job offer. We're moving out of the state. It's been like, you know, such an amazing news for our family. We were actually looking to already move, but then this came along and we are planning to go to Los Angeles.
Oh, that is fantastic. And so, Adriano, you know, now that we've got this big move coming and the start of this fantastic new life for you and your family, is part of the main reason of who you're going to choose to represent you in the sale of your property, is that going to mainly come down to the track record within your community? Or I guess my biggest question, Adriano, is what makes you feel comfortable or excited about interviewing this other agent who has a track record within your community?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, definitely I know I want to work with somebody who is gonna get me the results that I want. Mm-hmm. I just happen to see that, you know, this our agent charges a little less, and, you know, of course we all want to, you know, be able to have more cash in the table, right?
Absolutely. And so, Adriano, I have to ask you this, you know, because I think that we've all experienced this, but I'm curious, Adriano, have you ever, you know, been out there looking for a product and service, right? And you were looking for the best possible deal for that product and service. So you kept looking and kept looking, only to find that you found a great deal on that product or service, but it cost you so much hassle and heartache that you had originally, you had wished that you just went with the original premium product. Has that ever happened to you, Adriano?
You know, Jared, now that you're talking about this, yeah, I remember that happening to me once.
Interesting. Tell me a little bit about that. I'm curious.
Yeah, you know, I remember that I was actually in the market, you know, trying to buy a car, okay, right? And I looked into, you know, different websites, and then, you know, somewhere, somehow, I just got a little too confused, and then I ended up buying the car at a higher price.
And Adriano, so the reason that I bring this up is I've experienced the exact same thing as well. And Adriano, what I find with families just like yourself time and time again is instead of putting our main focus on creating the best possible, not only experience, but the best possible outcome for your greatest and largest asset, right? We end up focusing on the more minute things such as how much money that we're going to get back. So Adriano, I'm curious, if you were to be able to have a much better experience and you were able to actually enjoy your phenomenal move to LA while being able to net the most possible income, do you feel like that would be maybe a better approach for you and your family over perhaps getting a few $1,000s back in a commission credit?
Yeah, most definitely. I would definitely be, be wanting to know of someone who is going to have my back and ultimately get me what I want.
Absolutely, Adriano. Well, I'm really glad that you brought that up. So ultimately, after learning a little bit more about what you and your family's goals and aspirations are for the sale of your property, me personally, I truly believe that I'm going to be the only agent that's going to be able to meet you and your family's needs while being able to enjoy the entire process of the sale of such an important asset. So Adriano, after everything that we've discussed, how about we go ahead and start working together?
I love the plan.
Sounds great.
Awesome, great. Okay, guys, so what you saw today, a little bit lengthy, though, this is going to be very helpful. In fact, I want you to replay this role play, mainly because there are a few principles that we are going to learn out of this. One is that in all this time, Jared acknowledged. Yeah, Jared acknowledged. He was not combative. He was acknowledging my objection, right? As he progressed, he actually extracted all of those things that were important to me as far as what is making my decision in terms of selecting the agent that I want to ultimately hire. And then the third part is that he used those motivational items that are important to me to ultimately bring me the prescription, right? And the prescription is based off trust, and it's also based on now what would become his plan of action to make things happen for myself as the client. Guys, I hope you found this helpful. To learn more about Rexmont Real Estate, check us out at the link below, and stay tuned for our next episode, and I wish you well.
Thanks, guys.